Welcome to Brains World with your host, that crazy Karmann Ghia guy. These parts have been collecting grease, grime, dust, who knows what else over the past 50 years. Today, we are skipping a lot of the hard work to remove this grease by using a homemade DIY degreaser. We're going to give it one chance, and one chance only. We're going to soak it and see what happens. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Brains World 23! Let's rock!
So the degreaser that I'm going to teach you to make today is very powerful. However, the first thing we need to do is clean these up with soap and water the best we can. And then we're going to go ahead to the next step after that and teach you how to make this degreaser. Extremely powerful degreaser. All right, well, our first step, which you probably already guessed, is we need some water. So I've got some buckets of water. All right, the next step is we're going to use some really good soap. This is Dawn Professional. You know, it's like heavy duty, 3 times better for baked on grease. So we're going to use this first just to get off, whatever we can, the loose stuff, some dirt, and then we'll get to the heavy duty stuff we're going to make. All right, put a healthy amount in there, maybe too much, but that's okay. All right, next we're going to grab our first part. So this is it's pretty dirty. Okay, this is the back plate. And got another back plate. This one's, I think, even dirtier. Let's get to something really super greasy. Got the steering box right here. This stuff is really caked on there. I don't know if you can see that. It's pretty thick grease from years. This is probably the original steering box for this 1970 Karmann Ghia. And then this is just the initial. Let's get the surface crap off of there. We are going to wind up rebuilding this. So right now we're just dealing with the exterior and then we'll rebuild it. Wow, that's on there. So I can't even get some of this grease off with just scrubbing it off. But the heavy duty degreaser we're going to make is going to definitely take it off. Okay, so we've got that going. And it looks like we got to get some screws out of there too. We'll end up doing that. Now, we're going to try to save these disc brakes. I don't know how it's going to come out, but that bearing's in there. I'll have to get something to pop this off. Yeah. This part is just to knock off some of the loose stuff, because we want to make sure that the degreaser that we're making can really get in there. I gotta take the tie rod ends off of this, but that's all right. we'll do that. And this stuff, some of this grease is, wow, it's so caked down here, it's crazy. Okay. So we'll see if the degreaser can get this paint off. It's on here. All right, we've got some nuts and bolts, so I'm gonna just soak the nuts and bolts in the degreaser that we're gonna make. All right, let's get to the next step. Make some degreaser. All right, we're back. So the first thing we need is H2O. So we're gonna put, this is to make 15 gallons of this solution. Okay, so we're gonna add 15 gallons of water. Okay, next we're gonna add 2 pounds of washing soda. So this is 3 pounds in here, so I'm gonna measure it out. All right, so this is 1 pound of washing soda. Pour that in slow. Yes, I know there's a little bit of residue from the soap that's in there, which is fine. That's not a problem. So that's 1 pound and 2 pounds. Okay, before we go to the next step, we're gonna mix that up. Now, before we go on, it's important, I probably have long sleeve shirts, I don't, but I do have long gloves, chemical gloves. That's important. You don't wanna, as we go on adding things to this solution, you don't wanna get any of it on your skin or in your eyes. So it's important, one, to have a respirator and eye protection. And also you need to have this in a well-ventilated area. So my garage door is open. I've got a giant fan pulling air out of the garage. So I'm creating a negative pressure in here. Or you could do this outside, but even if you're outside, PPE, warning, this is dangerous. All right, this can burn your skin if you get it in your eyes. One thing I will guarantee you is you will go blind, okay? The washing soda is not gonna do that, so I don't need to put my mask on yet, but I am gonna put my gloves on, but soon I'll be having to put my mask on, okay? Anybody for a cold bubble bath? All right. Next, we're gonna add 8 ounces of sodium methyl-silicate. I'm probably now pronouncing that wrong, but again, we're gonna add 8 ounces of the sodium methyl-silicate, okay? We're gonna do that, I'll measure that out, and I will be putting a mask on, and I'm gonna put gloves on while I'm measuring this out. Okay, I've got my 8 ounces, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my mask on. You wanna make sure that your mask is on nice and tight, okay? I'm putting my gloves on. Now I'm gonna slowly add this, okay? Next, we're gonna be adding 3 pounds of sodium hydroxide. 3 pounds. You want to slowly add. So this is 1 pound. All right. I'm sorry, this is 2 pounds. Now I'm not adding all of it. I'm going to mix it up and then I'm going to add more. Only add 1 pound at a time. All right, that's the 2nd pound. Uh-oh. Okay, now I'm going to measure out another pound. Now this is going to have a pH level of 13.5 when we're done. There's nothing on the market that I know of that has that. This is the third pound. We're not done yet. So this is going to heat up. So there's going to be a chemical reaction. It's going to be like 120 degrees or hotter. So we need to let this cool down and for about 30 minutes. So we'll be back in about 30 minutes and we'll test the temperature of it. But I'll go get my thermometer here and I'll show you that it's heating up. So it's slowly heating up. It's at 64 degrees. I live in northern Maine, so the water is very cold when it comes out. But it is heating up. So we're gonna let that sit. So we're gonna be back in 30 to 45 minutes. All right, next, we're gonna go ahead and use Simple Green Pro HD Cleaner. So this is a professional level Simple Green. We're gonna be using 20 ounces. I'm gonna measure that out. All right, so this is 18 ounces. Need 2 more ounces. You're gonna wanna mix this up really slow, so that way we don't make lots of bubbles. Okay. Next, I'm going to scoop some of this out because I've got a separate bucket that has a strainer on it for all the bolts. So we got all the nuts and bolts. Next, I'm going to put some in a bottle so I can have this as a spray. And you want to mark this as hazardous. It's going to be 13.5 pH. Okay. Now, we're going to go ahead and take these and we're going to let them sit for about 30 minutes. All right. All right, so we're gonna let that sit for about 30 minutes and we'll come back. Almost forgot. There's an agitator right here. So the agitator, that helps. You want to keep it going, you can use a bubbler or some sort of agitator, but that's what I'm using. All right, guys, I'm back. Took a little bit longer. Sorry about that. It's been 2 hours. My wife had a little bit of honeydew for me to do. I had a honeydew list. All right, so I'm going to get my PPE on, and then we're going to take a look at how all this stuff's doing. All right, let's take a look. I'm going to get something purple. You look pretty good so far. We've got a little bit of rust on there, but it's going to be another process. That looks pretty good. Here's the other one. Here's the other picture. All right. Look at that. A little grease in here, don't. There's a little bit left inside. I don't know if you can see that or not. There's still. We took all that old paint and stuff off of that. Nice.
Look at that. This is pretty thick stuff right here. It's only been 2 hours. Wonder how it's going to fit in the longer. These tie rods seem to be still pretty tight, but I'm going to change them out anyway. New one's on there. Well, I did half of this. Maybe not even half. Look at that. Got a lot of that old paint. Well, the one that was the worst was that steering box. Let's see what she looks like. Oh! Look at this. Pretty nice. I mean, got most of it off. There's a little bit of surface rough and stuff. This isn't meant to get cut off. There's some really thick stuff right here. Right there. Let's take a look at some of these nuts and bolts here. Look at that. Nice clean bearing. You can see that. Look how clean that bearing is. Yep, so pretty good. Look at that grub screw. That almost looks brand new. The bearing. What a screw. You look brand new. Alright, so what I think we're going to do is we're going to put it back in. I'm going to get a little brush here real quick. We'll brush some of the stuff. Something happens, and then we'll put it back in the solution. We'll let it sit a little longer. And see what happens. We'll grab a brush. So I got a brush. So let's put some of this stuff back in. Depending upon what you're going to do next, well, we need to get it ready for painting. So there's some more steps we're going to take to do that. To get ready to paint them. Also, we're going to make them so that they're not going to rust. Again, for an extremely long time. So we're going to teach you how to make some of those type of things. And that'll be on the next episode. I mean, the longer you keep this in the solution, I mean, the better it's going to do, obviously. So this is 2 hours. A couple more steps to do after the solution. Let's give it a little bit more time, and then we'll be back. And then I'll show you some final steps you're going to want to do while you're ready to get ready to paint trucks or that kind of thing. So you can see there's still the heavy crud and stuff that's still on there. So we'll give it. Let's give it another hour, and then we'll come back. And I know my wife's got some more stuff for me to do. Anyway. Alright, so I'll finish scrubbing this stuff up here. As soon as it happens in an hour. Gee, that stuff was really on there. All right, see you guys in an hour. Okay, it's been another hour. Let's see where we are. Looks like it's a lot better. Okay, so let's say you're done at this point and you want to finish getting this ready to be painted, but you're not going to do that today. All right, but if you were going to do it today, I mean, you want to clean this off and then you want to, finish buffing and, getting some of this other goop off of there that's on there, like that over there. And then you would go ahead and get the rust off. And we have another process for that, which I'm going to show you that on the next video, how to get all that rust off. Okay. And so, we'll do that in the next video. But what you want to do is, especially if you're not going to do something right away, there's a coating we need to put on this so you don't get any flash rust because it's wet and there's nothing on it. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. But before I do that, what you want to do is rinse this off really good. And I'll show you what the next step is after that. So let's go ahead and rinse this off. I've got a bucket of water over here. So we'll go over to that. So I'll put that in the water. I want to rinse this off pretty good. All right, so that's rinsed off. I'll show you what to do next.
All right, guys, we're back. This next step, what we wanted to do is we're going to prevent flash rust. So if your part is wet and you're not finished with your process, you need to do something. Okay. All right. Remember, we are going to wind up tearing this completely down and rebuilding it on one of the up and coming episodes that we're going to do. That'll probably be after the rust converter one we're going to do next on how to get the parts to. On the next one coming up, we're going to work on getting rid of the rust and making it so it won't rust. Okay. So until then, what we're going to do is dry this off. So it's real important. Now, you could use compressed air if you want, but you really need to make sure it's very dry. You're trying to prevent the flash rust. See that original VW part? All right, so once you're satisfied that it's dry, I mean, you could use WD-40, you could use any kind of oil. It doesn't really matter what kind of oil you use, but I'm just gonna use WD-40, just, okay. And look at this doesn't work. Let's try this can. So now that you've oiled it, it's not going to rust for a while, as long as you've got an oil on there. And again, it doesn't matter what kind of oil or lotion you want to put on there. As long as you've got that on there, that'll keep it from flash rusting. Okay. And then when you're ready to tear it down and finish cleaning it up, now that we've got most of the grease off, then you'll clean this oil off, and then maybe you want to paint it. Maybe you want to keep it this color, so you'd put a different kind of coating on it. But that's up to you. So we're at this stage. All right, So now you're good until you're ready to go to your next step, whatever that's going to be. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe. Give us a thumbs up so that way we know and it helps support this channel. We'll see you on the next Karmann Ghia adventure here on Brains World.
Brains World 23. Follow us on Facebook.